Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and today we're talking Joker with Joaquin Phoenix because he's all over the news. Because, guys, he walked out of an interview, and now, of course, so many outlets are trying to make this be some crazy thing. He doesn't know how to handle the violence in the film. It's really frustrating to see how this sort of stuff goes out of hand. And I thought, let's actually go to the source itself and figure out what happened. This was an article he did with the Telegraph where he walked out of an interview. And of course, this Telegraph author, Robbie Collin, is trying to just get clicks and actually obviously push some buttons and have a headline. The way articles are written now is you need this. We need a click. My videos need clicks. I mean, my views are so down. In fact, I want to take a minute to please go check out my last video. I'm really proud of it. I actually did some editing. It's really fun. And my views are destroyed because YouTube's algorithm won't even put it in your feed. So please go hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be alerted when my videos come out. Please, when you see them, click if you can, like them to help. Otherwise, the channel just gets sunk to the bottom. But that's what this guy's doing. Robbie is making an article about why Joaquin Phoenix walked out of our interview. But if you really read the article, it's actually a pretty in-depth, interesting article about Joaquin Phoenix, about how he doesn't like the press. And I didn't even know he was with Rooney Mara and sort of all the things he's done. He's a vegetarian. It goes into sort of his life and why he's sort of a recluse of his own sort of way, because he just doesn't like to be in front of people. He loves acting, and that's it. He's not in it for the fame. He's in it because he loves it. And it's a really in-depth piece that's interesting. But of course, they got to resort to sort of the, ooh, this is drama. He walked out. He can't handle the violence. Now, the issue at hand, they set it up in the article. Why? Why would you do that? No, as he lips curl and gets up, shuffles towards me, clasps my hands between his heads, and walks out the door. We were talking, we're talking about Joker, in which Phoenix plays a reimagined and chillingly credible version of the venerable comic book. How did I not know certain words? Anyway, comic book villain. So this stemmed, and of course, in the article makes you read the rest of the article. But where the question came about was that this was the exact question that was asked. They said, so when I put it to him, aren't you worried that this film might perversely end up inspiring exactly the kind of people it's about, with potentially tragic results? And that's when Joaquin gets up. And then they talk about it. His fight or flight response kicks in. Mine too, just about. When you've watched or rewatched Phoenix play some of the modern cinema's most mesmerizing powder kegs, from The Master's Wand and Warzonked Freddie Quell to You Were Never Really Here's Bear Like Vigilante Joe, I can assure you, you do not want to be on the receiving end of that thin-eyed glare in real life. It's a stress to go to a junket and try and go against the grain and ask the tough questions, because the talent can really get you. There's some amazing cringy clips if you watch Robert Downey Jr. He goes after it. Tarantino. People just do not like it. I remember I did one interview with Keanu Reeves, and we asked this dumb question about the sad Keanu meme, because we were doing an honest interview with Keanu, and it was so good. He had a blast. He loved it. And then, of course, I asked the dumb, like, oh, well, the sad Keanu meme is not fair. What if we could make like a happy Keanu meme? Or it was a stupid bit where I had a bunch of other pictures where I was going to have him make a new face holding a sandwich to try and make it not sad. And it was just clear he was not having it. He didn't want to recreate the sad thing. And you immediately, as sort of a journalist, critic, personality, whatever, you just feel like nervous in those situations when you're sitting there in front of people you respect greatly and you're just trying to get those clicks, those views. And I understand this journalist is trying to do it, but the question at hand of might you be perversely end up inspiring exactly the kind of people it's about, with potentially tragic results? I mean, what kind of question is this? This is so leading and so scary and dangerous. So are we not supposed to make movies? Like, what is the answer to this? As then, if you go down later, apparently it took an hour of the PR from Warner Brothers to like get it back on track, and Phoenix panicked. He later explains, because the question generally hadn't crossed his mind before. That's a lie. And asks, not for the last time, what an intelligent answer it might have sounded like. And so they go on and make amends and sort of keep talking. And even Joaquin giggles, did you bug out, when he sort of flipped out and left? And even with the tension punctured, this brooding 3-time Oscar nominee and transparent publicity phobe, blah, 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 goes on to sort of talk about how he passed on Doctor Strange and goes into the rest of the thing. He never really answers the question. Instead, he points it back. Well, what's the right answer? And he's right. Like, what is the right answer? Did people ask De Niro this when he did Taxi Driver? Like, did people ask Heath Ledger when he did Dark Knight? There's so many, did people ask Anthony Hopkins when he made Hannibal Lecter 3 times? I mean, what are we supposed to say to this answer of the one crazy, mentally unstable person who goes and does something terrible? We can't make movies that challenge and talk about those types of people. It's just an absurd, weird time we live in, and such a stupid question, if you ask me, of what are we doing? To really put it to head is on top of that, to sort of time with this, Joker's been obviously getting a lot of worry, but some of the family members from the Aurora, Colorado tragedy of the shooting there sent a letter to Warner Brothers expressing their concern. These Aurora shooting victims expressed concerns of Phoenix's portrayal of Arthur Freck, who becomes a Joker, and the violence that laces the film. The specific letter in full talks about how we, the family members of the 12 killed, at the screening of The Dark Knight Rises, this tragic event perpetrated by a socially isolated individual who felt wronged by society has changed the course of our lives. I don't even want to begin to imagine what that's like, but they even say it themselves. This was not due to the movie. It was due to a socially isolated individual who felt wronged by society. As a result, we've committed ourselves to ensuring that no other family has to go through the absolute hell we have experienced, the pain we continue to live with. It does not go away. When we learned that Warner Brothers was releasing a movie called Joker that presents the character as a protagonist with a sympathetic origin story, it gave us pause. We want to be clear that we support your right to free speech and free expression, but as anyone who's ever seen a comic book movie can tell you, with great power comes great responsibility. That's why we're calling you to use your massive platform influence to join us in our fight to build safer communities with fewer guns. They go on and said sort of what they're doing, and these were their goals. But they're not asking to sort of ban the movie, but they are making a big point and sort of putting a stink on the film to sort of, without even saying it, and assuming that that's what it's about. The Warner Brothers reps came forward and even said, made their statement about this. At this time, Warner Brothers believes that one of the functions of storytellers is to provoke difficult conversations around complex issue. Make no mistake, neither the fictional character Joker nor the film is an endorsement of real-world violence of any kind. It is not the intention of the film, the filmmakers, or the studio to hold this character up as a hero. So, look, all of this together, now it's not going to play at the shooting with the theater where this happened. It's not going to play there, and I think that's a fair thing, just out of respect. They're just going to play safe there. But even some of the family, another member of the shooting has come forward and said that he thinks that he and his daughter would not have echoed the sentiments of the letter sent. He says Katie, one of the victims, would have been able to separate the movie from real life. Mike, her father, believes those who can't are part of the problem. He adds that violent people exist regardless of whether Joker comes out, and people who have issues with the film don't have to see it. Mike says he plans to see the film and thinks his daughter would have too. So look, this is what it all comes down to. And this whole topic of the Joker, is it too dangerous, is just silly. I've talked to people who've seen it. I haven't been able to see it myself yet. I can't wait to. But this idea that it's too dangerous or that it might perversely inspire others to do dangerous acts is just the wrong narrative. And it's really sad when the Telegraph, and we're now resorting to clicks by sort of forcing talent to walk out of interviews on tough questions, because even Joaquin Phoenix doesn't want to deal with that. That's not his place. He's just an actor. He's doing a role. It's, they even talk about it, how the film is uncomfortable. And that was sort of the point of the role. And I don't want to read this article because it spoilers a couple moments in the film that I wish I hadn't read. But point being, they talk about some moments where Joaquin Phoenix dances and it's uncomfortable. And you're just like, Joaquin was talking to Todd Phillips, the director, like, why are we doing this? This feels weird. But then they both realize, no, this is what we need to do. We need to feel uncomfortable to push ourselves into this character portrayal to show it. And I think we all need to see the film before we rush to such conclusions. And we shouldn't just run with all of these stories, sort of trying to paint it up for something that it's not. Here I am obviously using it too. I'm mentioning the thing, but I want to try to put an honest spin about it, because I saw so many outlets on YouTube, other channels of mine, and other things sort of using this as a rally cry to sort of say things are crazy. And I want to make sure, we talk about it honestly for what it is, that the film's not crazy. The request is crazy. And we have to be careful of how we, not censor our movies. Like, we need to be able to have a freedom of speech, clearly, even as the victim's letter said. But we also need to be able to separate film from reality. All of these things are massively important. And this film is something I expect a lot of you cannot wait to see. But I think as we see it, we'll have even more dialogues about this sort of topic. And I think that's good. Tough conversations are important to be had. Will make us pay attention for people like this and potentially not bully them or ignore them or isolate them or not give people paths to redemption when they mess up. All of these things bubble up and create extremists and people who feel on the outside. We as a society have to try and do better than that to avoid this sort of thing. And we have to put a lot more energy and time figuring out how to help people who are mentally unstable. That's another big issue that people don't really want to figure out. But there's so many topics to figure out. And this topic of Joaquin Phoenix leaving because he can't handle the violence of the film, that is the wrong narrative. That's not what this is about. So anybody you're reading that or seeing it, I want to make sure I clarified it for you all. That's the story from the source. And just to, as I wrap this up, this is a business choice. The Telegraph, has a subscription-based model. They need people to buy to even go to their website because they're not buying newspapers anymore. They're going to the website. So I had to subscribe for a free trial just to get one premium article a week. And notice this is a premium article. So to me, the fact that this article is behind a paywall of why Joaquin Phoenix walked out of her interview should say a lot about what the intent of this article actually was by Robbie Collin, who did his job. It got press out there. I'm sure his bosses are happy. But that's what this is. This is clickbait to sort of get news headlines in this new day and age we live in that we're all reporting on it, including myself. But what frustrates me is the fact that it's even out there and that we have to report upon it in the first place because it's a non-story, if you ask me. So Joker opens up in October, first week October. I cannot wait to see it. I'm sure you guys can as well. I'll be back, obviously, with a review when I can share it. And meanwhile, more videos are coming soon. And like I said, please go subscribe if you can to help me beat this algorithm. These numbers are just brutal some days. So I'd really be grateful for the support. If you liked it, made this far, please give it a like, make a little comment, get engaged in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching as always. Bye, everybody.